Hello guys, it's Ellen and it's Monday, so you know what that means. Mini Monday Madness! We're painting some Valentine gnomes. Yes, super fun. Pretty easy to do. Kind of similar to the ones I did for Christmas, but only it's Valentine's. So basically just change out the colors, add a few different icons like the hearts, polka dots, and obviously pink and reds. I go over this step by step, so no need to fret, and I'll teach you how to draw this. If you haven't hit the bell notification button, please hit the bell notification button to know my tutorials up. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Also, if you're a Patreon member, you get the bonus traceable to this guy. Yes, you get the traceable for him. If you don't know what Patreon is, it's a place people go that support my channel, and I have traceables, ad-free videos, exclusive tutorials on Thursdays, live stream, and a download from the top tier. It's just a place people go and support my channel, which I appreciate so much. You can check out all I have to offer there right up here. Boom. So, without further ado, let's get to know me. Valentine's. Okay, guys, I'm going to go over my supplies. For my brushes, I'll be using my Princeton 8 and 4 long round Velvet Touch series brush, paper towels, my palette here, my paints. I'll go over them as I use them. I'll be using pieces of paper from this mini Stonehenge aqua cold press paper pad. I bought it from like a set of like four different kinds of paper pads. They're so cute. They're like 2 by 3 inches. I have my gnomes already traced out, water jars up here. And like I said, if you're on Patreon, you get traceable. If not, I'll show you real quickly. I think you can just go on my other Christmas YouTube and you can see the same similar gnomes. So you're just basically making the nose, which is like an oval shape. Then you're going to just bring down here from the center, curve outward and up. Then you're going to bring down and up. That's his little mustache. And then for the hat, you kind of want to keep it close to the nose. So you're going to curve over here, another curve with a brim. Then you can make the hat just like this. Whoops. Kind of like a Santa hat. You know, for one that goes folding down. Then you can do the same thing. You can make the hat kind of wiggling, folding up. Either or for the hat. And then the beard can just be like a typical beard. Or you can zigzag it like this. That's the beard. The same thing for this guy. You can zigzag the beard without the mustache. For the second guy. So he has the nose. And then he has the hat. And it's a wiggle hat. But then there's no mustache. It's just a jiggle beard. And then the body is a line here, a line down, curved. And then for the hands, gonna curve a line in, Another one follows a little skinnier and wider as you go out. Little round bumps for the hands, and then you draw a nice big heart like he's holding a heart. See, and that would be. And then you can put whatever you want in the hat. You can put stripes, put hearts. We're gonna be putting hearts in the background. And play around with that. So we got our two guys traced out. Obviously, because it's Valentine's, we'll be playing around with pinks and reds. And I'm gonna be using some gouache. So I like the technique where you're kind of splattering and bleeding. So, you know, obviously reds, and so I have a bright rose color here. It's got a little blue on here, so it's a little purple. I have to remove some of that. Okay. Get away. Well, pretty magenta, actually. I've got this cadmium red light. I'll mix the two together, make it more of a pink. So you're going to mix up some pinks and some reds. This cadmium red light here. I have magenta. Might want to make a darker red, so I got magenta, and I'll take the cadmium red light and mix those together. And you have a deeper red, like a pinky red. For his nose, you can make it like a skin color. Pink if you want to make a pink nose. Play around with that. You know, it doesn't matter. If you're going to make a skin color, I would do yellow with some bright rose. Makes a nice blush color. This one is a little bit dirty, so we get the yellow and blush. blush rose. There we go. A little more blush. So a little more pink. You get that corally color. And again, you can add a little more pink to it. There. And just water that down and you have your skin color. So for the nose, I'm going to zoom in. With both of these, we can do a little skin color. Just taking the tip. I'm using my number 8 brush. Tapping on this. It's better if you can try and paint them both at the same time. It'll make your life easier. See? Little blushy kind of colored nose. You can take the tip of your brush, grab a little of this bright rose and kind of just tap in the edge. Just a little bit on the edge and it will bleed in a little bit. So then it looks like a nice little pinky rose. See? Little pinky. Just like that. For the beard, I would use like a gray. So I'm going to use my neutral tint. I think that's just a perfect color. Water this down. Simple, simple, simple. It is an actual color, neutral tint. You can just paint as gray. So we already have the outline of the beard and the mustache. I'll outline it with the tip of my brush and go back in and kind of like push around some of this paint. Kind of see, I'm grabbing some water. I'll take it off the paper towel and I'm kind of just painting the edges basically. See, just kind of paint the edge. Really simple. I'm trying not to hit my nose because I just painted that. You want to go in here and just make some little dash lines. Zoom in a little better so you can see more. See, I'm making these little dash lines. Getting a little closer to the nose. Same thing out here, kind of outline the outline of the beard. And then you can kind of go in here, put in little dashes, indicate the beard. You can get a little bit darker with the tip of your brush, grab some more of that paint. Not too dark though. Under here, you know, it's going to make a shadow where the mustache is overlapping the beard. See, I'm adding some deeper gray. And then up here by the nose. And the outline. You know, don't want to get too dark. But you want to be able to see the nose. Just simple strokes like this. You can go in, water this down, and add a little more gray if you want to on the beard. See, I'm kind of washing that around. So what you do there, we're going to play around with this guy. We're going to be going back and forth. See? Kind of outline. Get a little bit darker. The beard. And then fill it in. If it's too dark, take some water and just kind of push it around. See how I have my paper towel close by? I take off the excess water with that and paint. And I'll grab some water and I'll just kind of blend this in. See how I have some water? Grab some more paint. And of course, there'll be like a little shadow under the heart, so I'll put some under here. And the hand. And a little bit under the nose. All right. You can play around with this and add little darker grays once it's dry. For now, we'll just kind of keep this simple. See, I'm going to go in here and just put a little more darker grays. And we can put those little dash lines in there again. Making it a little bit darker. especially on the edge here. Oops, that's a little too dark. You do want to see the edge of the beard, but you don't need to make it that dark. So I'll just grab some water and kind of clean that up. All right, we're going to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I'm trying to figure, this guy had like, I had him with a heart hat. So you can paint like a nice pretty pink. So I've got these pretty pinks here, obviously, the bright rose. I'm gonna water this down. I'm gonna get the main color in here. Just a nice pretty pink. Any pink you have will do. Just fill this whole hat in. Even the brim. You can kind of bleed in these little pieces of paper. They're not as good as Arch, obviously, but they still can do it. This is a little bit too wet. So I'm kind of pushing the paint around, hoping it soaks in. If it doesn't, I lift it up like you see me here. I'm tapping it on the paper towel. So at this point, I might want to go in and take some darker pink and just kind of tap in the edges of the hat. See, I'm kind of just pushing it around. Just at the tip of my brush. I might not even use my number 4. My Princeton 8 is fairly new, so the tip is really pointy. See, I'm just kind of tapping in just a little bit of the concentrated color because it's still wet. Just kind of filling that in. This is kind of folded, so under here, when this dries, we're gonna make that part a little bit darker. And then I've got even more concentrated color still and have that bleed. Get a nice little pretty bleeding hat. We're gonna let this dry a little bit. So for this guy, I'm gonna erase this little hat so I know what's going on here. We can make this red and white stripe. So I have that bright red. Oops, I'm gonna do the brim first. A nice pretty red. And then I'll do the stripes. You gotta be careful with these little pieces of paper. They're not like I said, not like the Arch. So you'll notice that the water kind of sits on top. It doesn't go in as much. So you have to kind of not have super wet paint. It has to be wet, obviously, to push the paint around. So we're doing stripes here on this hat. You can make them as big and small as you like. Just like that. All the way to the tippy top. When the red is still wet, not too wet though, we can bleed in some darker red on the edges. Gonna grab a little Prussian blue, mix in with this red and the magenta, so we have a deeper red. And I'll take it and tip my brush and just kind of just tap it on the edges. See that? Tippy tap. And that should bleed nicely. This is not a bad piece of paper for the bleeding, unlike Arch, and it's pretty cheap. Isn't that cute? Now we'll get the red. We can do the heart. You can make the heart any color you want. I'll choose to make it red. It's nice bright red. Maybe put a little halo, which means a little white. See that, like a little oval, not oval, like a crescent. And go around his little hands, which I think I'm going to make the hands and the body pink. So doing red and pink. Like I said, you gotta be careful just painting this. And the same premise that we did with the hat, bleeding in the deeper color. This is fairly wet. Lifting up some of the paint. I'm gonna take some deeper or darker reds. Just kind of bleed in the edges around the hands. Just on the edges. It should bleed in. Not as good as, like I said, the arch, but it will bleed. And if it doesn't, you can kind of manipulate it. Grab a little bit of water. Kind of push that paint around. Like you see I'm doing here. All right. The body can be pink. Can be any color you want, but that bright rose is pretty. So put the little pink hands. Again, this brush, for me, I'm used to using it with the point. If it's becoming too cumbersome for you, get the smaller brush. We're just going to fill this guy in. His little arms. His little mittens we can leave. If you want to go to the edge, you can go right to the edge. Go right to the edge of this paper. We'll have to wait till that dries and we can add in some details. So I'm going to go back to our other guy. And we'll take our reds and we can make, actually for his brim too, I'll make a little bit darker pink. I didn't do that. Or you can make it red, whatever color you want. Just a simple darker pink will do. And then we're just going to make some little red hearts on his hat. Just making darker red here. You can make them bigger and smaller. Don't worry about the sizing. Take your time with the paintbrush. Little red hearts. See, I'm just putting some little edge. You would not have a full heart on some of these in a real hat because it would be folded over and you're missing some of that. Can add some of this deeper red here on the brim and over here. Zoom back out. See, now we can go ahead and we can put a background if you wanted to, or don't put a background. Play around with fixing his beard, making a little parts of it a little bit darker. See, I'm going to go in here now that that is dry. Just making some of it darker. And on the edge. Just, you know, has a little more oomph to it. You can actually put some hearts in his beard if you want to. Don't be afraid. If that gets a little too dark, you can lift up the paint a little bit. See there? Now, I'm going to do a background and play around with that. And this one, I'm going to go back and I'm going to do pink, bright pink, magenta, little hands. Or maybe I'll make them pale so you can actually see them because he's holding the heart. And you want to be able to see them. So there are these bright pink hands holding the heart. And then you can make little stripes on his clothes, see the little arm. A little line here to indicate the sleeve, and then do the stripe with the pink across the body. Like so. Playing around with the stripes. Doesn't have to do stripes, it can be polka dots. That would look really cute. Little polka dot shirt. I'm getting some darker pink. Always put some darker tones like underneath. See, underneath the beard part. So it's a shadow, and on the edge. And under the arm here. And under the beard here. So it makes sense. Voila. Now, backgrounds on these guys. Play around with the different backgrounds, and also for the little hat, you can grab some pink, put a little shadow in because it's folded, and add some deeper pink for the edge. Just want to fill that in. So it looks like it's folded like it's supposed to. And again, you can just play around with the beard getting a little bit darker. Right up in here. And on the edge. And just these little lines. Okay, so I also put in some darker gray, like right under the nose of both of these. Of him, and then I'll go put some under the hat too. The rim under here, but right under the nose, and then on the mustache part. You're going to keep playing with adding some more deeper grays. Not blackish, but you know, some grays. See, it makes a big difference when you go and do that. It stands out a little better. This one's a little maybe too dark, but you do want some darkness in there. And then you can go and put some of those little lines for the beard. Okay, so for the background, and actually for the brim of the hat, you can keep it like that. You can take a deeper red. I'm gonna grab my reds. So I mixed some neutral tint with the reds that I had and some of the pink to get a nice, really deep dark. This was like a little too cranberry, so I'll add some more red. And then you can just go these little lines, kind of curving for the knitted part of it. Voila. Same thing with the other one too, if you want to do that. Just two little lines parallel next to each other. Just like the one we did for the Christmas one. So it looks like a knitted cap. And then you go back in here and add a little line on the outer edge. That was a little too dark. I'm going to lift some of that paint up. And under here, because the shadow, because it's folded over. There we go. For me, I just added a little too much. I'm going to lift it up with the water. There. And then on the edge here. Just little details that makes the hat kind of stand out better. So at this point, you can put a nice pretty background in. Maybe do like a blush background. I don't know. Could be a blue. So I've got that pink. I'll add a little this yellow. Make it more of a blushy pink. And really water it down. You don't even have to do a background, but I thought I'd play around with it. Gonna water this down even more with water to make it really pale. Because the shirt is already pink, right? You can make it a little bit darker towards the hat. It's very wet. Very pinky. You can actually make this black too. That's kind of cool. Again, I'm adding a nose color here. Just fill that all in. This one. And it might get a little bit darker in the hat area. I'm gonna grab some of this bright rose. See, gonna bleed that color here, and on the edge, grab some water and play around with making this area a little bit darker, and then lighter down here. I don't want it to conflict too much with the shirt. I do want to play around with the edges though, and the hat. We could do the same thing we did with the Christmas and add some gouache. You could splatter it or not splatter it, but I think I'll just take some gouache, water it down, and just kind of place some loose gouache, and it will kind of bleed and cause that repelling effect. See? Ooh, that's too big. That made it too big. I'll lift that up. I just want to do little ones. Almost like polka dots. And then in some areas you can just kind of like do a little more taps. That was a little too much, but that's okay. It's kind of a cool effect still. You can do that with also another color. This, you know, the pink. While it's still wet, you can bleed in the pink too. Have fun with it. See what that does. This one's not bleeding as much because it dried, so I'm just going to push the paint around a little bit. Going to show them who's boss and where to go. So I think that looks kind of cool. It's a little pinky, or you can leave it white. Depends on how you want to do it. So that one was pretty pink. I might go in this one and make this more red. Right? I'm going to water down my cadmium red light and play around with that. So we got a pink and a red. Or you don't have to paint it at all. You can just leave it white. I kind of wanted to put a background in. Just felt like I needed it. I don't know why. Just seems sad and lonely. So I'm just going to fill this in. And either one of these could have like polka dots or hearts in the background. We have the heart hat, so I don't know if it's necessary to have the heart background. But I definitely wanted to do a color. It just helps the gnome to stand out a little more. Flip them back around. Get that bright red. One red, one pink. Get a little darker down here. And on the edges, I kind of like to do the darker on the edges. Maybe add a little pink to that red. It's brighter. You can make it as dark as you want. This is pretty bright. It's almost like a bright orangey red, but you can add some of this brilliant rose. Look at that, and just changes that red to like a candy apple red. Pretty intense. Gonna remove some of it. Don't want it so intense. See, kind of remove some of the paint. It will kind of bleed back in, but it will be pretty, just like that. It's like a little halo around him. All right, so I'm going to let this dry, and then we're going to talk about what we're going to do next. Okay, so I decided to put some like darker pink hearts in here. Just put a few around, and I think for this one, I'm gonna water down some of my gouache, and I'm just gonna do little teeny white polka dots. You know, it's not snow, it's polka dots. So you want to space them like you would a polka dot for a fabric. Just like that. Just need a little something something cute, right, to add in. You can also go back and use the white gouache and go over the areas if you felt like you needed a halo or the beard needed something. You can fix that a little bit. You see that? You can always do that. Same thing with the heart. The heart can have polka dots or it can just be plain. So aren't those cute? That was a lot of fun to do, wasn't it? Okay guys, so I hope you guys enjoyed painting these cute little gnomes. Like I said, if you're a Patreon member, you get an exclusive traceable that goes with the other ones. And you can play around with the background and out. I just did this on my own. I just did it real quick. You know, it's just a little bonus for the Patreon members. If you have any questions, please leave in the comment section. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Hope you have a great Valentine's Day. Hope you guys were safe from the storm that, you know, it's a little nuts. But take care, guys. Have a great day, and I will speak to you soon.